the research shows around like 85 to 90% of dieters regain their weight in the same year, and it's often more than where they were before.
Wow.
So diets are bad for us due to the fact that they follow a very rigid, I guess, focus. So they're either low calorie or they're low fat, and they don't teach you how to actually eat well or nourish your body in the long term.
Welcome to the Viable Wellness Lab, where we welcome experts to discuss the science of health and well-being. My name is Larah. I am the co-founder and CEO of Viable. Thanks for tuning in. The information we share is for educational purposes only. Always consult with your health professional before making any changes to your health routine. Today, I'm joined by Jacinta Horan, who is a clinical nutritionist. Welcome, Jacinta.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
And we're here to discuss weight management and also common mistake that people do when they try to manage or lose weight. I was looking at the research and I was really, really surprised to see that 62% of adult women and 52% of adult men are actually trying to lose weight. And it means that the majority of us are not satisfied by the way they look or by the number that we see on the scale. So, Jacinta, you are a clinical nutritionist, and I'd love to know what led you to study nutrition initially.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can definitely relate to that. So my journey, everybody has their own personal health journey, which usually leads them to where they are if they are a nutritionist or naturopath. And my journey started almost like 10 years ago, longer. So in my late teens to early 20s. And during this time, I'd left school and I was working in an industry, the modeling industry to be very specific, which is really focused on body image and staying lean or skinny, if we want to call it. So there was a lot of pressure for me to, and I was lean at the time, but there was a lot of pressure around staying lean. And it was really hard to understand how to be healthy and maintain that when your hormones are changing around that age. And so I did what everybody does. I Googled how to either a quick fix or how to stay lean and how to eat healthy, but it was really conflicting information, and a lot of it was focused on either low fat or calorie counting. Because everyone's sort of focusing on, I want to be a specific number on the scales. And, I did fall into that category. And then after a while, I decided that I don't want to feel like this, and I want to feel empowered, and I want to make the right decisions to take care of my health. And I noticed that a lot of the women around me were really struggling and they were unhappy. And, I was in that category too, because it was a really challenging time to meet a certain criteria that was really unachievable and unsustainable. And so I was like, okay, how can I fix this? And I thought, I'm going to go and educate myself and get a degree. And I was in my mid-20s and I didn't even want to go back to study at that age. But I made that decision and to study a Bachelor of Nutrition and Dietetics, and it was absolutely the best decision I made, because not only did I help understand how to eat well and take care of myself, but now I feel empowered to make decisions and I can help people around me. And that is my passion and my purpose. And that is powerful.
I love it. I love your story, and I think it's a story that a lot of people go through, an experience that a lot of people go through, and unfortunately, when you go into that, I guess, game, for lack of better word, of losing weight or managing weight, because not everyone wants to lose weight. Some people are trying actually to put on weight, but whatever you want to do or achieve with your weight, it's very easy to fall into traps or the dieting game, and that can actually have a really bad impact on your, not only on your weight in the end, but also on your mental well-being, because it can become an obsession. So for those who want to lose weight or manage their weight, what are the common mistakes that you've seen with your clients over the years?
So there's definitely a lot of them, but we'll keep it simple today. And I'll list probably 5. One is not eating enough, so restricting, which is very, very common. So kind of focusing on a specific amount of calories, which can be unsustainable when not eating the right things. The other thing is focusing on the scales, like trying to say, I really want to achieve that number. And what happens there is you just keep wanting more and more, and you're never satisfied or you never reach it, which is really disappointing. And then other ones are either low-fat diets or low carb, and over-exercising is a really big one as well.
And what I found really interesting is that I was looking at the research, and I found that the biggest predictor of weight gain for someone will be their recent dieting behavior. Meaning that if you take 100 people, the best way to identify who will gain weight in the future will be if they have done a diet recently, which I find really interesting because that's kind of counterintuitive.
Mm-hmm.
So what are diets, and why are they overall, I guess if we do a general statement, bad for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And you make a good point. The research shows around like 85 to 90% of dieters regain their weight in the same year, and it's often more than where they were before.
Wow.
So diets are bad for us due to the fact that they follow a very rigid, I guess, focus. So they're either low calorie or they're low fat, and they don't teach you how to actually eat well or nourish your body in the long term. So they are typically helping people lose weight fast, which is what people want. They want to shred kilos because they have an event coming up, or it's their wedding day. And this is a lot of my friends as well. They want to lose weight really quick, and you may do Weight Watchers or something along those lines of a specific diet or low fat, and what will happen is you will shred those kilos really quickly, and then, like I said, with the research, you will regain the weight because it's a really unsustainable it's an unsustainable way of eating.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're restricting yourself, you're going to start craving more, wanting more, and it's almost like it's unenjoyable to live like that. So of course, no one is going to be able to maintain or sustain that. So a lot of these diets, I feel that they do have a place sometimes, especially for medical conditions, but short term. It's never long term. So what we really need to do is start focusing on whole foods and teaching people, what is a balanced plate? What is like, how do if I lose this weight, how can I maintain it and support a healthy lifestyle?
Yeah, I love what you're saying. I think it's really important in this day and age to remind ourselves that we're not here to punish our body or punish ourselves. And I feel that a lot of the diets, and perhaps just to be more precise, let's call them restrictive diets, because as you said, there are some diets that have a place for conditions and so on. So restrictive diets are bad, I think, because of the definition, they are restrictive. And so it's important for people to remind themselves that it's not lack of willpower that will get you to fail when you do a restrictive diet. It's just the natural response of your body. So you can fight back as much as you want. Your body will always have a say, essentially. So 2 examples, I think, that we discussed earlier, where that one, as you said, you restrict yourself, so your body will crave more because your body is going to be, well, I've been deprived of healthy fats or fats for the last week. Your body will make you want fats because it needs it to function. Your brain is made of 60% of fat and it needs nourishment. And then the second, I think, natural behavior that your body adopts is if you restrict yourself too much, then instead of continuously lose weight, your body will adapt. And so your metabolism will slow, which means in simple terms that your body will hang on to the food that it has and process it slower to get more out of it, essentially, than it would normally do. Just a simple way to look at it. And so what it means is that when you go back to your normal diet after your normal diet after your restrictive diet, is that's where you might gain weight as well, because you will need less calories to feed your body, essentially. So it's not a matter, or as at least how I see it, it's not a matter of how much you want to lose weight. I think being successful perhaps is understanding how your body works and work together in order to achieve your objective.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. There's a lot of, I guess it's around mindset, and, a lot of these diets set us up to fail basically, and you can be really hard on yourself because like I didn't try hard enough or I wasn't committed, and you punish yourself. And I think over time people continue to have that mentality and then they give up, and it's so easy to have this cycle over and over again. And people really do need to I guess improve that mindset. Sorry, I didn't mean to I think you had a question coming and
No,
cut
that's
into it.
great.
It
You
was all
talk
good.
about the
Oh,
mindset. Yeah.
yeah.
So, talking about mindset, I love that because usually we start with diet and exercise. If someone wants to lose weight, say, what should I do in both these areas? But your approach is actually to start with mindset, which I really like. So, tell us a little bit more about it, and how should people start approaching?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think people should really start thinking about not so much what number I want to be on the scales or counting calories, whatever it may be for you, but start thinking about how you want to really feel like in your body. Like, I want to feel energized. I want to feel strong. I want to feel confident. And by saying these to yourself, for starters, it's almost a form of positive affirmation. It's like, I want to feel like that. I know I deserve that. It's giving yourself self-love, kindness, and being a little bit more gentle. And not focusing so much on a number, because it can take time to get there. Weight loss is a journey and it can be a long one. So when you start saying to yourself, I want to feel strong and I want to feel energized, and when you know how to take care of your body, these things will come and you'll realize how good it feels, and you'll want to continue eating like that, which is what we'll get into soon. Like, you want to keep living that lifestyle because it feels that good, and you realize that you don't need to count calories or focus on a number on the scales, because overall it's actually a lot about body image and confidence, not so much about I need to be a certain number.
Yeah.
It's about like empowering yourself to make decisions, and doing that in the long run while living a healthy life, because life is here to be enjoyed. Like, we don't want to be doing these diets over and over again, failing, getting back on.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
And it doesn't feel good. Exactly. So I love that. So instead of focusing on the number on the scale, it's better to focus on how you will feel when you achieve, when you perhaps shave a few kilos just for health reasons, right? Or because you want to achieve better performance when you exercise. Or it can be many reasons why you want to do that. And when you focus on that, actually, your mind will focus on the positive and it will search for that positive again, right? And it's focused on a feeling that you've already experienced in the past, if possible, and like, wow, I want to feel that energy that I usually feel. And just to share like a personal experience, sometimes what I do when I'm not sure if I'm still hungry or not, or I'm thinking about going for seconds, or just because I food is so delicious. Well, instead of being like, oh no, like don't go, and then trying to blame myself, I'm like, you know what? I know that if I stop now, I feel so good all afternoon. I won't have energy slumps. And I love feeling like that. And actually looking at it this way, I don't, there's no negative emotion associated to it. And the food will always be there.
Exactly.
So, pack it, put it in the fridge. And if you really want it later, have it. It's fine. But perhaps you'll realize that you don't need it, that extra bit of food. So it's all about being kind to yourself. I really like the approach. But there's also diet and exercise, of course. So I just wanted to touch on those. So I think it can be complex because everyone is very different. But what would be your approach to perhaps diet to start with it? What are steps that people can take that are easy, practical step in order to eat the right way, I would say, to lose weight?
Yeah. I guess when we're talking about like there's weight loss and there's weight management, and we'll focus on weight loss in this part, but and first of all, we want to follow a whole foods diet. Like, we all know that eating real foods is obviously what our body thrives on and what our body needs in terms of nutrients, and really minimizing or avoiding as much as possible processed foods, because these foods don't make us feel good. They make us feel sluggish. They disrupt your hormones, and they make you fall off track as well. But that's not all of it, of course. You're probably wondering, like, what are real foods? Like, we all know what fruit and vegetables are and meats. But I think the most important thing is being able to balance each of your meals and having snacks when you need them, but the right ones. And they can be yummy and delicious. It's not just celery and carrot sticks. We can make it fun.
Love to hear this.
So yeah, but then there's obviously a portion of how much carb, how much fat, how much protein, and I really don't like to focus on numbers, and I certainly don't calorie count. I think that's really a bad habit to create when we're really focused and obsessed with these things. This is a little unhealthy, I believe, and I have seen in the past. But for weight loss and what does work with people around me is definitely following not a low carb diet, but lower. And when I say low carb, when I say carb, I mean like healthy carbs in your diet, and increasing your fats and increasing your proteins. This is a good balance if the goal at the end of the day is for us to lose weight.
Yeah, so it's interesting because, that has changed in the last few years, but we've always been told that fats are bad for you. Fat is bad, cut the fat and focus on higher protein, etc. Why is fat important? I think we touched on the brain, but why is fat important? And what are examples of a few healthy fats that you can add in your day to day?
Yeah, absolutely. So fat is important, like you said earlier. Our brain is made of fat, but we need fat for our hormones, for starters, especially as women. And what we've seen when people do reduce fats in our diet, that's when our menstrual cycle is dysregulated, various other things as well. However, fats are important because they also satiate us. It's very similar to protein in the fact that they do make us feel full, which is what we want when we're trying to lose weight. The only thing that you do need to consider is healthy fats versus more unhealthy fats. So healthy fats and things that you can certainly add to your main meals or as a snack, we've got avocado, which most people love.
Especially here.
Yeah. oily fish, which we've got salmon, nuts, so your walnuts, your pecans, and almonds, seeds. Chia seeds are a big one, full of fat and also fiber.
Olive oil.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, these kinds of things which are our healthy fats, and then staying away from more like pro-inflammatory fats, which are found in our processed foods, and trans fats in margarine or
Canola oil.
Canola, yeah. I'm trying to think of all the ones. There's so many, but yeah. We need.
Okay, and so just to give practical examples, and I know that we don't want to share numbers, but I know that people are keen to add fats to their diet, but they're still a bit worried that it will be too much, or how many tablespoons of olive oil would you put in your salad without having to worry about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're following a whole foods diet, and the reason you're saying, like, I don't like to talk about numbers is because these are all healthy options. They're great for our body and they nourish us. So I guess when we want specifics, think about adding 2 tablespoons of chia seeds to a smoothie in the morning, or some sort of chia pudding, trying to get my words out, or adding a couple of tablespoons of olive oil over your salad, but adding your 1/4 to half of avocado as well in there as well, because your salad is really low carb and we want to build that up with healthy fats to satiate, keep us full.
Awesome.
Or if it's a main meal, then a fillet of salmon, which is also delicious, and adding a few sprinkles of nuts and seeds over salads as well. So super easy.
Awesome. And focusing on things that we like and enjoying the food, of course, because that's part of, I think, the whole journey. And what about sugar cravings? I know that when I talk to my friends about their, who are trying to lose weight, they really have always this afternoon, need for something very sweet or very quite processed, actually, usually when you think about it. So is it normal putting this into, obviously, is it common to experience sugar cravings, and what can one do about this?
Yeah. So sugar cravings, they are normal. We all get them and we can prevent them, which is the main thing, or we can manage them basically. Sometimes we can't prevent them because life happens. But basically, sugar cravings happen when we potentially are not eating enough or we restrict ourselves. But it might not even be that you're not eating enough. It's just that you don't have the right balance of food in the meals that you're having. So if you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to follow a whole foods diet. And I made this mistake before I studied nutrition. I was like, okay, I'm eating all of these healthy foods, but the combination of them was, maybe some vegetables and a little bit of protein or no fat. And so basically what happens, you think that you're eating all these nourishing foods, but we actually really need to ensure that we're having enough protein and enough fat in those meals and a little bit of carbohydrate. So making sure that it is this balanced meal, what we call.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you're able to satiate yourself across the day. You will feel full for longer, and you won't have those cravings. So you want to make sure that you are having regular meals, especially if you're trying something new, like you've changed your whole routine, because it is really hard to, I guess, when we're so used to having sugary snacks or confectionery, whatever we want to call it, it's really hard to actually stop having those things. Like sugar is highly addictive, more addictive than recreational drugs, for example. So it's really hard to stop our body from craving those things. But what we can do is make sure that, we eat these super nourishing foods that our plates are full of healthy fats and protein, to make sure that we're meeting our needs and really keeping us full. And another thing is also fiber, I guess, as well. We often forget about this, and it kind of goes a little unnoticed sometimes. We especially need that because, and you can increase your fiber through vegetable intake, which a lot of people don't realize as well. So just making sure that you fill your plate up with lots of veggies, your healthy fats like your avocado and your salmon, and then your protein as well on top of that. So yeah.
And a good way to feel full is to add vegetables to your plate, as you said. They're very low in calorie, and we shouldn't count calorie. But if you add more cucumber, more broccoli to your plate because you're worried about being hungry, that's perfectly fine. Like it's definitely the one that you should be counting. And also, if you want your little maybe kind of sugar, your little piece of chocolate or something like that, and you really you don't want to completely remove it from your diet, it's fine. And perhaps a tip would be to have it as dessert, so at the end of a meal, rather than have it on an empty stomach in the afternoon, because that may actually spike your insulin.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people think, we're talking about this whole foods diet and making sure our plates are balanced. That's not all it is. I truly believe that it's essential that you follow an 80-20 sort of lifestyle. So 80% of the time we're eating these really nourishing whole foods for our body, and then 20%, you can have what you want. Like if we restrict ourselves from these things, it's really hard for us to manage our lifestyle, because things happen and you can't always be prepared for things. And when we're with our friends and family especially, it's important to have fun and have what they're having, and not feel like you don't want to be around people because you're following a really rigid plan.
So most of the time it's really adopting a new habit rather than having a diet mindset. It's, well, most of the time I will eat whole foods. I'll eat things that are nourishing my body. I will eat less carbs in order to help with weight loss or weight management, as you said. But if I'm going out with my friends on a Saturday, then I can choose a meal that I really enjoy, and I can choose a dessert that I really enjoy, and I can have a couple of drinks. It's feeling healthy is not necessarily removing all the fun, essentially, all the things that really that you enjoy. But I think that also what's interesting is, because I went on that journey of perhaps reducing a little bit sugar or reducing a little bit the carbs. Actually, when you get used to it, your body doesn't really asks for it as much anymore, and so you get used to eating a little bit less of it. Of course, you'll have the occasional patisserie or chocolate, but you're not craving it anymore because your body is getting used to the nourishment, and that's the good news. It's if it's a little bit hard at the beginning, it actually gets easier and easier.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important to remember as well, like even if we are following sort of a lower carb, that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to reduce our portions as well. So lower carb is actually kind of removing those simple carbohydrates such as your pastas, your breads, your flour, and replacing them. Like we can have a legume pasta, we can have cauliflower, we can have zucchini. So carbohydrates are in vegetables as well. And I think a lot of people forget that. So when we're bulking up our plate with vegetables, we're still getting that carbohydrate intake. It's just at a lower calorie count, I guess.
Yeah. And if you really love, sourdough, then perhaps have a piece of sourdough in the morning. So have your carbs early in the day and have really good quality breads. It's good for you. It's good for your body. And don't cut it out completely if it's something that you really enjoy. Obviously, for me, very important. Bread is very important for obvious reasons. But you don't need to completely cut stuff. You can have them, but have them good quality. And perhaps if it's carby, then have it earlier in the day than later in the day. And let's perhaps touch on exercise now. So you mentioned at the beginning of the recording that some people may exercise too much and that may actually impact their ability to lose weight. So can you talk about exercising perhaps not enough or too much and what would be a good way or principles around exercise when you want to manage your weight or lose weight?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously there's over-exercising and then there's under-exercising. I mean, we know why under-exercising may not help support our weight loss goals because we're not utilizing enough energy. However, then there's over-exercising, which is mostly those people that are really doing like 6 or 7 days a week, high intensity cardio because they think that, okay, I'm working really hard, I'm going regular, I'm sweating and I'm burning calories. I'm burning this off. This is good. This must be working for me. And it can, except some people perhaps realize that, okay, I've actually come to a plateau. I've stopped shifting my weight, or I actually can't lose any weight, but I'm going to the gym over and over and I'm working really hard. But what's actually happening is you're causing a lot of stress on your body and you're potentially increasing your cortisol levels. And when we're doing that, it'll actually hinder your ability to lose weight. So what we want to do is sort of come back a little bit on the cardio and start bringing in things like resistance training or which is weightlifting. So the reason for doing this is basically you want to start building lean muscle mass. Because when we start building lean muscle mass, we are helping to support our bodies on our weight loss journey because, say for example, we kind of fall off the track and, you fall off for a couple of weeks and you go back into your habits and that's okay. But if we've sort of built up enough lean muscle mass through either Pilates or weightlifting, then your body actually won't change much throughout that time. You won't notice these differences, even though you've fallen off and you can get back on track because we rely on that lean muscle mass to support our metabolism. So I would highly, highly recommend sort of if you are someone who's doing too much cardio and too many days a week, bringing that down to around 2 days a week and start doing resistance training. And you can do that 2 to 3 days a week. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's a good reminder as well that resistance training can be with your own body weight. If you're not someone who likes to lift weight, there are a lot of apps, free apps that show some exercises. You can do 30 minutes a day, and you can go for a walk as well if you feel that wasn't enough for you. But it's a really good way, as you said, Jacinta, to increase your metabolism. And what does that mean when you increase your metabolism? Is the ability of your body to burn calories when it's not exercising, so throughout the day, and actually your body is doing this naturally already, and if you increase your metabolism, then it will burn a little bit more calories. So again, no need to obsess about it, but actually doing too much cardio, what I learned as well is that if you're not eating enough, it actually may burn your muscle, therefore decreasing your metabolism, which seems again counterintuitive. So it's all about balance, I think, with everything. And doing some cardio 2 days, 3 days a week, but then doing some softer exercise, lower intensity, is really good for you. And if you don't feel it, go for a 30-minute walk. Do a brisk walk, like still, give it a little bit of effort, but that's perfectly fine. And it's still I think it's very underrated walking, because we feel that we're not sweating. So surely it doesn't do anything, but it's still very good for your body.
Absolutely, I highly encourage it. It's like absolutely great for longevity. Like we need to do that. You might even not realize it, but I think doing that extra sort of walk from either the bus to the train or, I've got a driveway in my house and I hate going out there, but my partner's like, let's do it. Let's go up that hill. Let's add that little bit of extra push. It's just doing little things to add to your day.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit more movement. Thank you so much, Jacinta. That was an amazing session. Really enjoyed having you here, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Love being here.